Greetings there, fellow survivors. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of a new series called The Pacifists. If you would like to skip the setup, details, characters, world, factions, and all the other stuff, please use YouTube chapters. For this specific scenario, I didn't actually include a backstory. Surviving as a pacifist, rather rough. We also would like to befriend other factions and minimize loss of life when possible. When possible is kind of important because it's not always possible. I mean, this is RimWorld after all. The rules. Members must be of our ideology, meaning that they have to take a vow of nonviolence. So essentially, we're never going to have a human-like pawn that fights. It's impossible. No grav ships. I'm using Odyssey because I wanted to be in the Glowforest, but I am not going to be touching any other Odyssey content, not really. The colony must not own any animals. The phrasing on that is very important. If we're asked to take care of an animal, that's fine. We don't own it. We're just looking after it. We can't own animals, but like we can watch animals for quests. Trade embargo on meat, leather, and eggs. We're not going to buy it. We're not going to sell it. Pretty straightforward. Colonists must not have any of the following traits: bloodlust, psychopath, cannibal, brawler, pyromaniac, misandrous, misogynist, careful shooter, or trigger happy. Basically, the combat-oriented or non-pacifist sort of traits. So, it's a subset of traits. And then, by that same token, they must not have hussar or single-phage xenogerms. Germline, meaning species, are fine. So, like a waster or a Neanderthal, who are kind of like combat-oriented germline species, that's fine. You don't pick your species. You hypothetically pick your xenogerm. So we're not allowing vampires or combat murderers as in the colony. The Storyteller, as you can see, is raining random and losing is fun, but children grow at 100% speed rather than 400% speed. Factions. All factions that are permanently hostile factions of human types have been disabled. So like, you know, the pirates and stuff that like you can never befriend. So there are a lot of hostile factions, but not permanently hostile. Hypothetically, we could befriend them, given the effort. And then the insects and mech hives still exist. I didn't remove them. Here is our ideology, and I'll pivot over like this. So we're collectivists who like the dark, which makes sense in the Glowforest, and a vow of nonviolence. This part is really important for you all to understand. A vow of nonviolence means you can't fight. You can't defend yourself. You can't even punch. Like, there's nothing you can do for combat. Nothing. There really is nothing. If you're a psycaster, you can maybe like throw some psycasts out, but you're not physically fighting. You're just like thought-provoking or whatever. It also means that we don't believe in eating meat. It's abhorrent to us. We don't believe in killing innocent animals. With that said, if an animal dies, butchering it is fine, as long as we didn't take part in its killing. So that means like not baiting animals through deadfall traps to murder them, right? Because that's killing an animal. Even if the game doesn't think it's killing an animal, I'm not cheesing the rules. We're not killing animals unless they are like manhunters or have gone mad and we're defending ourselves, or like predators killed it on our doorstep and we're just butchering it. So butchering animals is fine, just killing them is not. Basically, we're not wasteful. And then, you know, we don't execute, we don't do violence, we don't do slavery, we don't do raiding, so on and so forth. So you can see all the precepts related to that. Again, here's the factions. So there's no shortage of hostile factions. There's just no permanently hostile factions. Here's the world. Standard world, nothing special. And we're just smack dab in the middle of the game dark forest. And this is the Glowforest that we're at. So this Glowforest is a plateau. So we have a big old mountain in the middle and standard Glowforest stuff all around. As far as starting pawns, they're in the sky. They haven't even landed yet, but I can show you. We have Crimson, the contract miner. They're a labor camp orphan contract miner who's a quick sleeper and fast learner, and every single person in our colony will have taken the vow of nonviolence. So the vow of nonviolence is a trait imparted once you join. Basically, you know, it's part of the mod. In fact, it's even worth mentioning the like Oscar quote for the VE memes and structures. Oscar's quote about this: "Please no, this is actually game breaking." Yes, the vow of nonviolence is like game breakingly difficult. That's fine. You know, whatever. And then Crimson is good at construction, mining, and medical. Doesn't do violence or art. No one's going to do violence. Quantum, kind and beautiful. And Quantum, plants, social, intellectual. And they are, how old are you? 24, 32. And then Tim M. And Tim was the one that came up more or less with the scenario. Actually, RCV, I credit you with some of the scenario. But regardless, Tim was like, it would be really cool to see a pacifist run. So Tim is iron-willed, hypersensitive, crafting, medical, cooking. And the reason why I credit RCV is I think, RCV, you had suggested a mech run. And I realized I hadn't actually really used mechs in RimWorld in a long time. So I was like, let's get back to mechs, because I really haven't done any mechanitor type stuff in a long time. So Tim, of course, is a mechanitor. He is a mech link. Yes, and then there will be 2 mechs landing with us, which will be Kadath and RCV, but I'll have to name them once they land. Now, a few other points about the mod list here. So, I want to talk about the mods briefly, only because they affect some of the core gameplay. So, I have a mod called Craftable Mech Chips and Cores, which allows us to craft the standard cores and the high cores, because traditionally when you do that, you have to like kill people for high cores. So I did make the recipe rather expensive. It's not cheap. It's like advanced components, steel, subcore, and the subcore is like components, steel, and you know, so it's expensive. But basically, in order to craft high-level mechs, we don't have to go murdering people, because I felt like that would be an affront to the whole concept of this run. And in terms of some of the other mods, most of the other mods are just like, we're really close to vanilla. You know, with just some tweaks here or there, more or less. And the entire mod list is public in a collection, if you want to use it for yourself. There is one thing I will say, I use Cherry Picker to remove. So the craftable mech tech and chips and cores allows you to actually like make your own chips, like signal chips, etc. I disabled that. So the only real change in the mod settings here, if I go to Cherry Picker, is I remove the ability to just like make chips, mech links, and AI persona cores, because it's like madly overpowered, and I was like, yeah, we don't need that. So that is the starting scenario, and we are in a Glowforest. So for those that aren't familiar with Glowforests, they're not zero dark. They go up to about 50% brightness outside, which means it's not bright enough to grow really anything but things that don't require sunlight. So it's fine for like Tentoria, fibercorn, nutrifungus, etc. Solar panels don't work here. And the reason is there is like sulfur being pumped into the sky. Basically, it blocks the sun. It's like a sun blocker. So the outside here is enshrouded in permanent darkness. And some of the key features is it has a lot of boom shrooms, which are like chem fuel mushrooms. You can't cultivate these yourself, but you can harvest them for chem fuel. Yeah, and that's more or less like the interesting parts of this map top. So let's get started and see how we fare. First thing I want to do is like land everyone. So down we go. And the constructoid will be RCV and the lifter Kadath. This is the standard mechanitor start. So this is the kind of resources that you would have for a solo mechanitor start. But all I did was like more or less modify that Tim and Crimson are also starting colonists. And then on top of that, I've disabled the random animal tame and the farm animals wander in, because we're not allowed to own animals. So I disabled the incidents that just like give you animals. So those are the only incidents changed. So if I review the scenario here, as you can see, it's the standard mechanitor start, but with 2 extra colonists, no self-tame, no farm animals wander in. So there's not going to be a scenario where like, oh, whoops, we have animals, because, like, I coded that around. There was also a few other disabled things that don't show up in the scenario here, which is, like, the grav engine quests won't pop up. But that's, for whatever reason, it's hidden in the scenario start. And as I mentioned before, the difficulty here is random losing is fun, but children age at 100, not 400. So that's the only change I made here. Everything else is default losing is fun. One of the benefits of a glow forest, if you're wondering, hyper fertile. It is super fertile everywhere. So, let's plan the start. What I want to do is throw down, let me open up this overlay, throw down a little survival shack. Allow all the steel to be hauled and moved. And put down some walls. We're going to... Oh, you know, let's also start with work priorities. So, firefight, doctor, oops, basic, patient, warden, no one's going to need a handle probably. Construction, mining, growing, forget fish, probably forget art for now, and research. Perfect. Wood is rather annoying to come by in this biome. So I'm going to rely more on steel than wood, because you can cut down timber shrooms, but you just don't get the kind of yield you would in a standard forest. So yeah, it's not a source of material that we can really rely upon, and then like mass growing timber shrooms is rather annoying as well, so we're not going to be doing any of that. Oops, that's not where I wanted that. There we go. Alright, so we have a basic survival shack with a stockpile zone. Then, on top of that, I also want to plan out a farm. So one of the benefits of this map type is you can grow nutrifungus very easily, because the soil is very fertile. Nutrifungus doesn't have a lot of soil fertility sensitivity, which means it doesn't really benefit from fertile soil all that much, but regardless, I'm going to grow it. And I don't really, because I can't fight animals that want to eat my nutrifungus, so I'm going to have to wall it up. I don't necessarily have to roof it up. There's really not that much of a benefit of roofing it up, unless I want to protect it from like lightning strikes or something, but at the very least, we'll wall it up. And this will be set to nutrifungus, so we'll call this fungus field. Perfect. One other thing I want to do before I unpause the game is to start mining. So I'm going to start mining, let's say here, and I'm going to mine way into this mountain. The concept for this is we're pacifists. I do not want to have to deal with this scenario of paw drop raiders landing on my head. If everyone had like Psycast skip or like jump packs, maybe it'd be survivable, but I think landing on our heads would suck. So I'd rather not deal with that, so I'm going to the mountain. We're gonna live in a cave. I mean, we are dark lovers anyway, so like, what's darker than a cave? So we're gonna start mining into this mountain and designing it defensively. And I think that's all that I need to immediately do. Let's go ahead and set up home zones and start to have the colonists work. So Crimson should start immediately mining, and then everyone else will be building and sewing. One of the things that you get when you take a vow of nonviolence is you get blunt traps. Blunt traps are like spike traps, but they cause bruises, not bleeds. And you can build them adjacent to one another. Meaning that you can, like, have them all in a row, whereas spike traps, it has to be every other spot. They're not very economical to build because they're as expensive as a spike trap at about a quarter the effectiveness of a spike trap. So I don't think I'm going to be using them very often. Again, the goal, of course, is to minimize loss of life when possible, but it's really not going to be possible to go full pacifist where we never harm anyone, because this is RimWorld. That doesn't happen. All right. One of the other things I want to do right off the bat here is go to ideology, drop down a ritual spot, change roles, and give Tim the Dark Shrouder, which is our leadership role. Basically, I want to work boost Crimson, because there's going to be a many metric tons of mining required right at the start here, and I'm going to want a miner that mines fast. So I would say the current goal right now is to dig out a cave for our living area. Also, thank you for the crazy hype train up in the chat. I was busy doing the whole like intro spiel for the scenario, but I appreciate it. It was hard not to notice, so cheers. Yeah, we just want to live in our happy little dark forest. Exactly. And we can also do some plans here. So the plan is to have a pretty deep entry cave for like max range. And then maybe 9 by 11, 9 by 11. So the 9 by 11 will be like a defensive area. Now, it's worth noting, some of the risks to our colony here. Turrets can be very easily shut down with smoke launchers. So raiders that come with smoke launchers can negate any turret defenses. Sappers and breachers are also very dangerous when you live underground. And turrets don't move around very easily, especially the high-powered ones can't be moved. Which means we're going to need a mix of, like, traps, turrets, and mechs to help defend us. And also, maybe more than anything, allies. Calling in allies, once we have, like, good relations, is going to be incredibly, incredibly useful, I think. Will I use the mild exploit to look for a hollow mountain? Nah. This is a plateau. The terrain features for plateau usually means they're not hollow. Anyway. Because it's like a default solid mountain landform. I mean, there could be ancient dangers in here. You know, so I could, like, build a plan let's see. Yeah, I could, like, do a structural plan and try to figure out where they are or do the melee trick, but I'm not going to be doing that anyway. Alright, so speaking about our designs, we are going to want to cool down our cave so that it is, so that we can survive in it, not like, you know, not have any problems with bugs. Which means that we're going to need air conditioning, like, along the edge of the mountain here. And it looks like there is not overhead mountain for a fair bit of tiles, which is going to make it very possible to do just that. It is a huge mountain, yes. So Quantum is sewing, Tim is building, RCV is building, Kadath is hauling all of our stuff. Tim, I actually want you to haul the meals in first. Try to keep them out of the hands of the wild animals. Because I can't really stop animal, like, you know, there's nothing, I could potentially issue my robots to go punch animals, but, like, I don't want to be doing that anyway. And there is the overhead mountain. So I'll put a door here at the edge of the overhead mountain. Alright, thinking back for our tasks here. I do want a trap corridor. So if this is the edge of the overhead mountain, I'm going to have a trap corridor branch off to the south. And then we'll probably end up having like a fire or tox trap to the north. But I can leave that alone for now. I'm not going to have the means to build that anytime soon. Then I'm probably going to want a corridor From here, coming all the way back out for air conditioning exhaust, where I will roughly, and this is just a rough plan, roughly excavate this area so I can air condition it. Basically have the freezers, the exhaust point to the non-overhead mountain, which will be empty and hollow, so that we can dump our heat exhaust, and also have like chem gens and stuff like that. So this is some of the basic plan. Some of the first structures we're going to want, because of how important research is going to be in this scenario, I want basically every building to be adjacent to this corridor here, so that it's going to be easy to like deep freeze things. But this will be a research room. I want to get research going immediately, because if I can start researching gun turrets or standard mech tech. The basic mech tech for just like Militors don't cut it, especially not losing is fun, unless you have a bajillion of them. So I'm going to want a research area very, very, very quickly. So this is sort of the basic plans. Then likewise, we could probably have... You know what? Maybe what I'll do is I'll do a hospital here and research here. Hospital will be closer to the entryway. I'll probably honestly want multiple hospitals. And the reason for the multiple hospitals is it will be one for us and one for the enemies. Because we are intending to take the vow of nonviolence seriously, which means trying not to obliterate our enemies. So something like this, where it's like our hospital, enemy prison / hospital, research room. And then this room, of course, is going to need access to the air conditioning corridor. The idea is that we'll have a bunch of air conditioners here once we have a lot of power, freezing everything inside so we don't end up with bugs. And this will be the corridor that serves that. And then down this way, we can have the other bedrooms. And then over here, we can have like the dining room, kitchen area. So thinking about this logically, if our food is mostly coming from the outside Nutrifungus farm, at least initially, we could have a kitchen here with a dining room here, like that. And then, you know, like an ideology room as well. You know, somewhere around here. Like that. Really planning like a anthill. But obviously this is getting way ahead of what I'm planning on doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out some basic mining for just what we immediately need to excavate. Which is that. All right. So, activity feed. Thank you for the gifted subs, cheers, or resubs for Lisk Kadath, Guero, Radlocker, Venomous, Joker, Dastardly Dave, Silver Knight, Holodeck, Bifrostborn, Madzy, oh, goes on and on, GMT, Kellyan. Thank you, and welcome. So once Quantum is done sowing a bunch of Nutrifungus, Nutrifungus doesn't grow particularly fast because it's not a soil-sensitive crop. It's something that you, like, mass grow. It's not like rice. I will set a cutting zone. And I can start painting the cutting zone now. So this is going to be like a harvest zone. And I'm just trying to avoid like accidentally sowing potatoes into the soil. So I'm just carefully monitoring the plots here. Because like obviously there's a bunch of isolated, insulated island typey things in here, which would cause a potato crop to be sown. Like that, right there. Or that. We don't want that. And this is probably way more than I really reasonably need. But I can always pause it at any time if we have enough of what we're looking for. Whether that be chem fuel from the boom shrooms, or wood from the timber shrooms, etc., etc. And probably more like fungus from the Nutrifungus. And if this is Grow Zone 2, I do have a Grow Zone 1 somewhere then. I think I have an island of growing somewhere. Potato, top, center, island. That's a pipeline section. Right here? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. A big devil strand? Ah, but devil strand won't grow without grow lights outside. Poor. Get rid of that bed. Now let's try to get a roof overhead. And then full walls around the farm. So we can consider growing things like double strand, because if we don't hunt, protective clothing is going to be very cloth, synthread, hyperthread, and devil strand reliant. There we go. We have got a roof over our head now. Now we just need to wall up the farm. In terms of wildlife that we need to worry about, monitor lizards, I guess, could be, or fennec foxes, but there's not a lot of, like, predators on this map tile. So the Glowforest is, like, relatively safe compared to most of the tiles. It's not going to be stuff trying to stomp us out. Alright, back to the plan. So in this plan, we are also going to want to get a place to put our chem gens. So I'm also going to excavate this area out pretty early on and figure out, I'm going to only excavate the non-overhead mountain sections of this area so that we can produce heat and not keep it within the base. Oh, and we just hit steel. Sweet. This is a pretty awful little barracks. But, you know, that's just what you get at the start. Setting up a stone cutting zone, 31 range. Cut any stone within that range. And we're almost done walling up our grow area. Where'd Quantum go? Yes, don't cut that yet. So the Nutrifungus, please. Now, Nutrifungus can grow outside. The ambient light that we have is not bright enough to harm Nutrifungus, so you could grow it without the walls. You could grow it without a roof. It's just the roof will allow us to harvest it without getting rained on, which is kind of nice, because no one wants to be soaking wet in that way. And it looks to me like RCV, you are just about ready to go dormant. So let's set up group 2. Our mech groups. So group 2 is going to be dormant self-charge. Because we don't have rechargers yet. I will be getting rechargers pretty soon. I'm not going to shy away from, you know, producing tox packs. We'll just have to deal with the tox packs. And there's a lot of different ways to deal with the tox packs, like going to an Odyssey point of interest. Like, anything that has an underground, an underground area, and just, like, dumping it in the underground area. If I could find an underground area, my god. I guess there really aren't many around us. Drug stockpile, there we go. So there's one, for instance. Oh, I never got that second bed. Or third bed. Keep working, Quantum. You'll have a bed in a minute. He's like, overtime? Not overtime. I know, man. I forgot your bed. I could just schedule him to stay out, but this is kind of easier. There you go. There's your bed. See? Alright. You are wandering, so dormant self-charge. And then Kadath is still hauling in some of the fungus that, that Quantum grabbed. Looking good. 7,000 size zone. Yeah, I think that's big enough. Alright, in terms of their needs, they all look pretty fine. Let's do some policies. So at the moment, I'm going to say use herbal meds, but carry real meds. For drug policies, at least right now, I'm going to say no drugs. And this is going to become the default. And once we start growing drugs, we can change the policies. Now, growing drugs is rather difficult other than Silocaps in the Glowforest, because the Glowforest doesn't produce enough light to grow almost anything without a grow light. And grow lights are rather power expensive, especially given that we can't use solar panels to offset them. So it's going to be a while until we have anything but Nutrifungus. Luckily, our ideology likes Nutrifungus because we love the dark. So, you know, that works. Apparel policy is going to be no tainted, no tattered. And I can just do ahead and delete the others. Okay, and then the food policy is going to need to change as well. This is going to be vegetarian. Actually, we already have a vegetarian policy, so let's make this a default and set everyone to the vegetarian default, because our ideology doesn't believe in meat. And I'm just hoping that the generic policy that RimWorld gives you for vegetarian is actually vegetarian. I'll probably double check it, just to make sure. So allow vegetarian food, no appetizing meats, no human meats, etc. No carnival meals. Carnivore meals. I don't really... So we don't... I did have to mark down animal products because we... Actually, we could eat animal products. I don't think that's actually a problem. We're not vegans necessarily, so I could put that back. Not that we are going to be able to buy them, so, you know. But if we happen upon milk or insect jelly, I guess that's fine. I don't want raw food, though. And then don't eat, like, raw plants. And don't eat suspicious rum. I mean, come on now. It's literally called suspicious. Yep, okay. So that looks about right as the default policy. Should we uncheck fine and lavish meals? So no, not necessarily, because fine and lavish meals that, like, arrive from space or raiders don't have ingredients, meaning that they're fine for everyone. You know, they're just meals. They don't have meat. Even though you really can't make them without meat, the game doesn't care and is like, oh yeah, don't worry, they're totally ethically sourced. Is what they'd like to have you think. Silocabs don't cause addiction, right? Wrong. They, of course, cause addiction. You know? It is a... you can get quite high. I mean, I'm not planning on getting everyone high on Silocabs, if that's what you're wondering. So this is going to be the research lab. This is going to be the heat vent, and also where we put chemgens. One of the first things I'm going to research is going to be biofuel refining, because that's the most renewable resource of power that we can have. Eventually, there are steam geysers around that we could tap for power, but it's not reasonable to try to research geothermal power because it's way, way, way more expensive and takes way, way, way longer. So I'm going to leave that for when we have the luxury of extra time. Hit steel again. Oh, something's getting shot, murdered, stabbed, bit, nibbled. Yep. Alright, I mined out a little area for the stonecutter table to be moved. And then, I think I am going to create a dump stockpile here for blocks. Just because I don't want them hauling blocks back out here. It doesn't make sense. Because eventually everything's going to be inside, you know, where we're turtling. Alright, Quantum. Looks to me like you could be sent out into the forest to cut down stuff. So let's have you go do that. And she's following the plan. And this here is going to be a research lab. Alright, Kadath, you could probably dormant self-charge. And I'm going to put RCV behind the walls as well. Alright, in this spot here, we're going to do a wooden door. Actually, RCV, you're back up. So what I'm going to do is a concrete floor everywhere. And I'll probably concrete floor up this for now. And then the rooms where, like, how nice they are matters will eventually turn into, like, you know, stone tile floors or whatever. But that's not version 1.0 of this project. You missed the mech runs? Well, perfect. That's exactly why I'm doing a mech run. We're turtling, and exactly, Stochastic Turtle, we are turtling. We want to be left alone, not murdered for our ideology. Alright, Quantum, that's probably enough. Leaving a lot of plants out here to be harvested is going to solve some of our like food and chem fuel shortages early on. I could also have him beeline towards like boom shrooms. So I'm going to have Quantum get these 2 boom shrooms and bring the chem fuel back. Because I don't want to make a wood fire generator if I can help it. I'm just going to jump straight to chem gen. Because interestingly, you can make a chem gen before you can even make chem fuel. I'm surprised that biofuel refining isn't a prerequisite to make chem gen, but it isn't, so I'll take advantage of that. Oh, they aren't addictive. Well, okay. They do cause a loss of consciousness, the silocaps, that is. And I don't really want our people to, like, suffer that way, so I'm going to leave them alone all the same. What is the romance? 100%? That's a good mood boost. Romancing. Social. Avoid pregnancy. Avoiding pregnancy only because this is not really this is not where you raise children yet. So they partnered up, but it's going to be a minute before I'm going to allow like them to do the whole trying for kids thing. Where did you go? Cargo pods? Of Naturamian. Oh, space drugs. Woo! Blends look very developed. Yeah, and I also put them in a bed next to one another because, like, I'm trying to avoid pregnancy is not very effective, and I don't have fertility procedures. So we're gonna go with really, truly, you don't have kids, guys. All right, so she's back at it, and she's mining out a corridor for the she's mining out a corridor to go to where we can produce heat and dump it into the atmosphere. Because if you take a look at the overhead overlay, looks like this isn't going to be overhead mountain here. So I'll put my freezers here and my chem gens here, and then pull the power in. Thank you for tuning in to RimWorld The Pacifists, which originally streamed live on Twitch as a marathon one time only. Because it was streamed one time only, feedback cannot be incorporated, so there's no need for it in the comments. But if you have any questions for me, let me know down below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Adios.